There's one last feature we need to explore before we start looking at the different types of questions you'll be asked in the story guide, and that's listed under Important. This is talking about the Help View buttons, which run left to right across the middle of most screens in the story guide. You'll find that some of them are dark and some of them are grayed out. The grayed out ones don't have any information on a particular screen. The dark ones do. So any that are dark have something that will help you answer a question, get more out of the question, understand what to do with the information that you've put into the question. For example, Explain will give a more detailed description of the question itself. What's it really asking? Theory will give you a background as to why this is important in dramatics, why it's important to your story. This is a great area for new writers because they can learn dramatic structure theory while they're working. Usage will give you specific examples of how you might put this to work in your story, or examples of how it was actually used in other well-known stories. And another useful area is Help. This tells you how to push the different buttons on the screen, how to navigate through things, anything that you need to know to get around through this particular screen functionally will be covered in the Help area. Let's move on now to our first group of questions. We're going to expand Section 1 and go to the first screen, the intro. This just gives some information about what's to come. And the next question, story title, says, what is the title of your story? It's already entered your story. We're going to leave that for now, but of course this is where you'll put in information about your story. And to give you an idea of how these Help View buttons work, Explain says, what's in a name? Having at least a working title will help you start your story, even if you ultimately change it. Then in Theory, it describes how a title may or may not have dramatic significance. In Usage, it looks at Star Wars and the evolution of titles by which it was called, how they change its meaning, how they change its feeling for the audience based on the title, and also what titles might refer to in the story, whether it's the story's climax, the subject matter, or perhaps the main character's personal problem. Screens with Help View buttons all give you this kind of helpful information, even on something as well-known, simple, and a no-brainer as the story's title. Now you'll notice that in the question list, the question story title has a small check mark next to it. This indicates that information has been entered for that question. When you make a story structuring choice or enter information for a storytelling question, a check mark will appear next to that question in the list, letting you know what you still have to do at a glance.